Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Restream.io decided we don't want to stream the show. It was too much power because they know what's about to come up. Welcome to August 1982. We were last on the Commodore VIC-20 playing Alien Panic. Let's see what the next game is. We're still going to press forward, keep on going. Here we are on the TRS-80. This is Arcade Galactic Firebird. This is one we only have a few screenshots for, so not any other artwork besides that. Let's pop in and play Arcade Galactic Firebird by Mark Chalk, published by Kansas Software at sometime in the beginning of August 1982. Couldn't believe it was fourth time the charm, but here we are, ready to rock. I love all the comments. Yes, maybe that's what it was. We'll blame it on the computer that's coming up. So here you go, Arcade Galactic Firebird. I think they just wanted to include as much impressiveness in the title as possible. What's the instructions for this one? Man, you gotta love those transitions on the TRS-80. So we got Phoenix ships that are over there, we got bomb ships, Firebirds, and then spacebar to fire, move left and right. I'm still gonna try the keyboard to see if that works. Spacebar to start the game. Nice, even the awesome sound effects. Alright, so I'm going to try out joystick first. Do we have any joystick control? No, we have nothing. So it is just left, right, and then space to fire? Yes. Space shooter all the way. And at this point, I'm still waiting for a genuine clone or variant of Galaga. We still haven't seen one yet. We've seen plenty of other shooters just like this one. This one's like a cross between... I'm going to say the way they're moving could be Galaga, but it's obviously Phoenix if they're making one of the enemies Phoenix. Look how tiny the enemies are. And they are starting at the top of the screen, and if you notice, they are first appearing like eggs, and then they dissolve into the enemies, very similar to Phoenix. So there you go. All the symbols at the top of the screen is what they are first, and then they convert after that. And now we got another enemy, and here's the Phoenix coming through. Good night. Oh, wow. I love it. Even though it is simplistic, I don't know what it is about the TRS-80. It's so cool. It's awesome. It makes you feel like you're playing an epic arcade game, even though it's all in black and white. Everything we played is black and white. It's something about the way that they display the graphics. Gosh, very, very difficult, though. Not to say that it's the most difficult we've seen so far. Congratulations, you made one of the top 5 scores. Oh, I can input my name? Cool. Rono is the name. There we go. Yeah, I'm surprised we don't have any more information about this system online, because whenever you first collected for this with the Launchbox community or other databases, most of them don't cover this, the TRS-80. And so a lot of these games are lost, and if it's no surprise, when we get to TRS-80 games, we don't see a lot of artwork for it, like boxes. It's not cataloged as well. But still really fun to play. I'm still thinking of all the games you could play, 3.5 stars already for home computer releases. And in a way, I can say maybe this is a slight nod to Galaxian, the way that they come down, the enemies come down. But to my knowledge, there is no other screens besides this. Whenever we go to level to level, it just adds another enemy in. So you can see we have the Phoenix character there. This one takes 2 shots to take out. And I have an extra firepower. I don't just fire 1 shot at a time, which is nice. And then the only other enemy they add on is the bombers. So when you get far enough, it's just 3 enemy types, and that's it. But still really fun to play. There we go. So I got them down. And then at the top of the screen tells you how many are left to come down. All those eyes represents who's going to come next. And if you make 5,000 points, you get an extra life. If you can play better than this, do or do not. Right now, I am doing not. Come on, do. Do more. Do harder. I like the firepower, though. Going from games where you can only shoot 1 shot at a time until you make a impact. There we go. Nice. So we got an extra life because we got 5,000 points. That's the way to go. Yeah, the death effect and the crazy effects on the screen. It's another thing I say about in the show. Oh, here we go. Here's the bombers coming down. Now, these are similar to Astro Fighter, the way that they make a little explosion or shockwave on the ground. Here, I'll let some bomb down so you can see. But if you are sensitive to flashing lights, you probably shouldn't watch this show because we're playing games. We've been playing since the 70s, and these games are not sensitive to flashing lights. They're all over the place. They just wanted to give kids seizures. So even though it has 3 types, all right, there you go. You can go and start throwing out your reviews now of Arcade Galactic Firebird. I'm going to say around 3.5 stars of all the games you can play on a home computer. Still well done. The TRS-80 is chugging along and have some good stuff for us. Oh, I'm seeing 4-ish. 3.5 or 4. Yeah, it's... I wouldn't go as high as 4 just because it is only the one screen and it gives you the effect that it should be scrolling. They're not going to do that on the TRS-80. It is still fixed screen, very similar to Phoenix. Yeah, and there's some other 3.5s as well. And that's true. If you compare to other TRS-80 games, yes, I would go 4. But we're comparing it to every other home computer game you could play up to this point. All right, so after Arcade Galactic Firebird, let's see our next game. We're going to the United Kingdom and play Arrow of Death on the Commodore VIC-20. This is one we've already seen on the TRS-80, and this is the one of the other later releases. Look at the front of that box. How can you... I love the early era of home computing. This front of the box is like, oh man, it's like we're going to a friend's house and he drew us the front of the box. I don't even know if Brian Howarth did the front, but this one is done by him. This is the 3rd in the Arrow or the Mysterious Adventure series by Brian Howarth after Golden Baton. So, looks awesome. And then there's the cassette we're going to pop in to play some Arrow of Death. The other ones that were out there, just an alternate one. We do need 8K to memory to expand to play. Let's pop in Arrow of Death by Brian Howarth, published by LeisureSoft at the beginning of August 1982. Do we want to play an old game? No, we want to play this brand new. Now they're asking if we want to load. So we're in a courtyard. Things I see is a dead messenger, a rope and hook, exits north and west. This one is your classic 2-word text parser adventure game, like many of the other ones we've seen, and we're going to see many more besides this series. He took this from, or the engine from Scott Adams, so it's very, very similar. Notice how we have the break in the screen showing you what you see at the top, and then you type everything down at the bottom. I just saw 5-star box. Yes, some of these are so bad they're good. All right, so what do we want to do? Let's look courtyard. I see something. What do you see? Oh, you see a dead messenger. Oh, that's not good. All right, so let's look messenger. This is one of the things I just thought was so frustrating about this game. The game begins and tells you what you see, but you have to look at the courtyard closer. And once you look at it closer, then you see a dead messenger. And then when you look at the messenger, it's like they don't reveal it all. You have to know what to look at. All right, so we look at the dead messenger, and now what do we see? We can see an amulet. And I think we already picked it up before, but let's go ahead and get that rope. Nice. I'm carrying too much. What's my inventory? What do I have? Oh, I already have, what? I already have all those things? Giant slave fuel. Okay, yeah, so they've given us all the items. I wonder if this is a hacked version of the game where they give us all the inventory. We have everything. That's fantastic. Okay, let's go west. All right, I'm at a palace. We can still see rope and hook. Let's go ahead and head north. Wait, no, I can't go that way. Why can't I go west? Okay, we'll go south. I'm in the throne room. Wait a second, I'm still seeing the rope and hook. I wonder if if LeisureSoft has another version that doesn't have the... Yes, maybe it's already cheating the game, and that's why it's going to save us on time for the adventure game. Now we put it on we've already played it on the TRS-80, and this series of games we've already played through 3 different ones. There's going to be more in the Mysterious Adventure series, but something's up with this one because I got to tell you this, the Commodore VIC-20 is the strangest computer because I've already done playtests of this exact game with this exact expansion on the Commodore VIC-20, and it's a different experience. This has never happened on the last 2 times I've tested out the game following the walkthrough. But here on the live show, it just decides we're going to switch it up and make this happen to the game. And I'd love to know if this was in basic. Maybe we can do a few pokes and mess around with Arrow of Death. Yes, maybe that's what happened. Let's try it a different way, just to see if it's going to play a different way. I'm curious to see what in the world's going on. Let's try it again. No, we don't want to play an old game. Okay, things in the courtyard. Yes, dead messenger. Got it. Look. Messenger. Okay. Yeah, they got the amulet. Get amulet. It works. What in the world? Now it works correctly when we load. That's just amazing. Okay, so after we get that, let's go ahead and get the rope. And there we got the rope. Oh, it says, oh no, it says not now. Okay, let's look courtyard. And then now we can see the rope. You have to look closely here. Get rope. Now we have the rope. Man, oh man, so tricky. And bear in mind, this was in the United Kingdom where the Mysterious Adventure series first began. We've seen the cryptic, most craziest text adventure games as far as puzzles go in the United Kingdom. So I feel so bad for all the people that first started adventure games in the United Kingdom. They must have been pulling their hair out or thinking to themselves, I will be smarter than the computer. I will figure this out somehow. Yes, that's true. It isn't one of the top-notch text adventure games or adventure games in general, especially if this isn't your cup of tea. All right, so now let's go ahead and, after we get the amulet, let's head west. Now we're in the palace. We have the correct exits. Why is it working now and it didn't work before? I can't understand the Commodore VIC-20. Maybe if I had William Shatner here on the show, I'd had better luck. Yes. Oh, you did. That's awesome. Yeah, very, very unfair. All right, so let's go ahead and head south. We're now in the throne room. Now we can see Zardra and the gold baton. If you haven't played the Mysterious Adventure series, it takes place one after the other. So you're meant to play those first, and then now you'll understand what the story is. In this one, we're essentially going to find all the pieces of the Arrow of Death and then assemble them. That's what this one is all about. All right, so now that we're here, it tells you to get, let's look Zardra. If I can spell it right. Look Zardra. He gasps, make arrow, destroy, and he dies. Things I see, Zardra's now dead. Sorry, Zardra, couldn't save you. All right, let's go ahead and head east. We're just going to avoid him. Don't even look in his pockets or anything. Now we're in the kitchen. Let's go ahead and look. Kitchen. This isn't the only text adventure game to do this, but there's a handful of others that you go in a place and it tells you what you see, but you have to look at the place again to get a better description. So we're in the kitchen, and it tells us what's in the kitchen, but we have to look in the kitchen closer. Now we can see in the kitchen a hook. Oh, didn't see that before. All right, let's get the hook. What am I going to use a hook for? Am I the bad guy in this game? All right, after that, let's head west. We're back in the throne room, and let's go north. And go, and if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm following a walkthrough because I'm not going to be lost in August of 1982 playing adventure games. If you want to see that, please check out all the games we played in 1981. That would be even more fun. Okay, let's head after north. Let's go west. We're in the royal chamber. We can see a bed of armor and coat of arms. Okay, let's turn the coat. After we turn the coat of arms, okay, we did it. I don't know what it did for us. Turn it again. Oh man, this shows you how difficult the puzzles are. You had to turn it multiple times. And then now we have a secret. Let's do it again. Yes, I see something. Yes, we now have a secret passage after you turn the coat of arms a certain amount of times. How would you have known to do that? How would you have figured that out? To do it a certain amount of time. Oh man, it reminds me of playing text adventure games and trying the same thing over and over again, almost like you're trying to discover the secret of insanity. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, very, very unfair. Yeah, maybe we are the bad guys if we're carrying the hook. All right, so now after we do that, let's go ahead and go passage. Down the secret passage. We got the sword. Get the sword. And you see how the game plays out, very similar to how we played the Scott Adams adventure games, and it's still very, very cryptic. But it is a work done better than some of the other text adventure games. So if this was your cup of tea, I know we just did a quick taste of the game, but if you've wanted to play every game on the home computer, what would you give Arrow of Death? Of all the games you could play in a home computer game. Arrow of Death that we saw on the TRS-80, I said 2.5 stars, and here on the VIC-20, I'm still thinking around the same 2.5 stars of all the games you could play on a home computer. Yeah, same there. And of course, your mileage would be different. If you hate adventure games and can't stand this, you go even lower than that. But you would say for the Mysterious Adventure series, it does have the split screen. So it has a slight quality of life, just a little bit. Yes, if you have a soft spot for it, that's true. All right, so after Arrow of Death, let's see what our next game is. We're now on the Atari home computer. This is Assignment 46. Assignment 46 is another one we don't have a lot of information on. Let's just pop in and play Assignment 46 by Mike Andrusek. and Victor T. Albino. This was essentially a never-published release of a text adventure game that was based on or inspired by the August 1982 issue of 80 Micro on the TRS for the TRS-80. And so this was done by Mike Andrushak for the Atari computer, and it's essentially getting people to go out there and start making their own adventure games. And here's the product of, hey, you can do it yourself. Make your own adventure game, and here's what we get. Assignment 46. The time is summer afternoon in 2154, so we're way in the future. The place is a sandy beach on Monte Carlo, the Pleasure Planet. You are Commander Harry A. Flynn, United Earth Command. Lies in the sand. He's pensive while he watches the reflection of the hot sun dance on his ruby laser ring. Suddenly, a signal blares out of his communicator and switches on. Gosh, descriptive much, right? Oh, really? You remember seeing this on the 80 Micro? Yeah, we didn't see that one, but I did find this one. So yeah, cool that you had seen the original one on the 80 Micro. Or typed it in, right? Wasn't it a type in? Oh my gosh, it's like Mission Impossible. Hello, Harry. This is Sector Chief Kronos. Kronos? Wait a second. This is Sector Chief Kronos. Sorry to interrupt your vacation. We just received information. The ring city of Pila is in danger. The city that encircles the Pila Stargate is the only way to reach the Andromeda Galaxy. We are especially concerned because a plutonium freighter headed for Pila disappeared yesterday. There's enough material aboard that ship to vaporize the city and destroy the Stargate. Good luck, Commander. Good gosh. That's enough story for you, right? So if you created your own adventure game, would you be writing a book or a novel like this? Yes, yeah, it was a type in. I believe this one was too, but I don't remember which magazine or publication they put this one on. Okay, so it's late when Harry boards the giant liner. He goes to his cabin, dims the lights, lies down for a nap. Now, after all this text we just read and all this story, this is how the game plays out. It's an actual choose-your-own-adventure game. We played another game on the Apple II like this called Prism. It wasn't good. And this is another one. All it is showing you menu-based, and you pick from the menu base. In one regard, you could say this is better because you don't have to type in and figure out what the computer wants, but in another regard, it doesn't have as much ingenuity and is not nearly as fun because usually you're trying out things and typing them in. Here, you're just picking which ones. So we got a giant poisonous reptile, a three-headed poisonous reptile in front of us. What are we going to do? What's Harry going to do? And you decide what he wants. Jump out of bed, remain perfectly still, call the attendant, turn on the reading light. Let's try brushing the lizard off. The lizard strikes with lightning speed. And Harry's dead. So what do? You flip the book back to page whatever, and then the mission's a failure. And everything's lost. Pila's been blown to atoms. Stargate's lost forever. Try again? Yes. So all it is taking the number keys on the keyboard. Yeah, it is fairly well written. It kind of reminds me of Zork, or some of the Infocom game we played called Deadline. All right, so suddenly they've repeats the same thing over again. I got to listen, or the text scrolls all the way down for it. Come on, any day now. Another time that Chronologically Gaming died fantastically fast. It's not going to be the first time. I actually wouldn't complain. I enjoy difficult and tough games. It actually makes me want to play this again after the live show and try it, do better. All right, so what are we going to do? I'll try one more time. I'll leave it to the chat. What do you think? Jump out of bed, remain perfectly still, push the call button, turn on the reading light. I don't think scream loudly is going to do anything about that. Yes, put your life on the line. Well, brushing the lizard off didn't work. I don't know about perfectly still. Okay, we'll do jump out of bed. It's the next one I saw. Ready to go. Lizard strikes with lightning speed, and we died again. So just bear in mind, this kind of adventure game is going to be trial and error, the same way you would play a choose your own adventure in a book. Now, granted, it is a type-in game, but think of all the other adventure games and computer games that are out there. Yes, very, very difficult. For assignment 46, I'm going to go way low. It is written well, but as far as gameplay and adventure titles, we're down here in the bad range. I could even go as low as in between broken. Is this considered broken or bad? Somewhere right down here. Yes. Yes, you probably could cheat in a book. I couldn't find a walkthrough for this one, but if you know all the answers, you'll figure it out. I'm going to go 1 star of all the games you could play. There's much better ones out there. Trust me. All right, and after that, let's see what our next game is. Let's go back to the United Kingdom and play on the Acorn Atom. Here's Astro Warrior. And there he is, Chris Curry of Acorn, making magic happen right now. So this one is another game we don't have any box for. I think for screenshots, all we got is, all we have is screenshots of the game. So all we're going to do is pop in and play our Acorn Atom and make sure it loads. Cross your fingers and toes. Make sure the volume's right on your tape recorder before you play. Yes, I wouldn't even go that far with uninvited. That's a big stretch. Here we go. This is Astro Warrior by Dino Dini and Program Power at the beginning of August 1982. So this one boots up to like an attract mode. It shows a little bit of screen, and we got to push spacebar to play. So we begin the game. There you go. Don't adjust your volume now. That's just the way it sounds. Now, this game is a unique style. So as I'm playing, you think to yourself, oh, it's like Asteroids. But this doesn't control that way at all. I push one button to move forward, and then the craft moves forward constantly. All I'm doing right now is moving left and right, and I have a fire button. That's it. So I'm just going left, right, fire, and it's continuing to move forward. So there's no gravity like Asteroids. It just goes and continues to go. And whenever it almost feels like I'm doing a driving game rather than a shooter. Oh yeah, really hard to play this and go at the same time on the live show. So this originally was made by Dino Dini. I know I probably pronounced his name wrong, but he said in an interview that this is originally supposed to be picking up different letters, like an educational title. And whenever the publisher wanted to release it, they didn't want it to appear as educational, so they said remove that. And so now it doesn't make as much sense because you have to pick up fuel. If you look at the top of the screen, that bar that's slowly going down is my fuel bar. And in the original design of the game, you were going around picking up the letters in order of like alphabetical order, and which would lead you to the fuel. But now it's really, really difficult to play because you don't know which order you're supposed to be doing the ships in. So I'm just wandering around aimlessly trying to get the yes. And the bullet doesn't travel all the way across. So it's a little messy, but for the Acorn Atom, it's all right. It still would be a fun time. If you can get by the controls. No joysticks. This is all keyboard. Man, yeah, very, very difficult. It was originally called Letteroids, and they had to change it. Astro Warrior sounds more spacey and cool. All right, so that's all I'm going to do for gameplay of Astro Warrior. Of all the games you could play on a home computer, Astro Warrior is down there because it almost makes you feel like it's supposed to be like Asteroids, but it's just you're constantly moving forward and you don't control that speed. It doesn't like it's just driving. It feels like you're driving rather than flying a spacecraft. And the shot feels off where sometimes I have control of it and then sometimes I don't have control of it. But I wouldn't fault it as much for the Acorn Atom. If this was rating just the Acorn Atom, I'd actually rate this around 3.5. But because we play everything here on all home computers, I'm gonna have to go way low. Astro Warrior is, yeah, I'm looking at 1.5, 2. I'm going to go do 1.5 stars. The control scheme is similar to our arcade or space titles we played on the TRS-80, but not done as well. I like the ambition, though. Let's try something new. That's all about the time we're in. This era is, I want to see what happens if we try this. It's very refreshing in one regard. All right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the scrolling. I don't know if you call it scrolling. That's a big stretch. All right, our next game needs a bigger introduction. Here we go. Are you ready? Here comes a new challenger. Ladies and gentlemen, the release of the Commodore 64. First unveiled in the beginning of the year in January in Las Vegas at the Consumer Electronics Show. This is one of the biggest home computers ever to be launched and released. Now, technically, this isn't a launch of Commodore 64 because home computers don't have a launch like consoles do. So, for this one, it's going to be really difficult to pin down when the first video game came out so we can play it. But before we do, the Commodore 64 is going to be the reason why here on Chronologically Gaming, I'll probably never leave the 80s. There are so many games and so many releases for this system that it's probably going to be what breaks the channel. It's going to be too much. I've already looked ahead at 1983. Commodore 64 has over 600 games alone just for 1983. That shows the popularity of this computer. It's incredible. Yes, it is all over now. All right, so if you pop open the Commodore 64 and look inside for all the techies out there, the CPU is the MOS 6510 running at 1.23 megahertz. The memory inside is, well, you shouldn't have to guess, it's 64K. That's what makes this really big. It is not the only system out there with 64K stock. The NEC PC 8801 started with 64K like this, and we've already seen that system, or it's already been released in Japan. And of course, there are memory expansions you can do for other computers to have 64K, but this comes stock and it's cheap as hell. The video is, this computer is all over the world, so it can be plugged in almost anywhere, on all formats, NTSC, PAL, CCAM, but most people, especially when they first got the system, just use RF. You plug this directly into your television, and you're good to go. For display, it runs 320 by 200, 16 colors, and it uses the VIC-2 graphics chip, or VIC-2 graphics, including sprites and colors, but one of the biggest things about this is the sound. Inside of this is the SID chip, 6581, where you can get 4 channels, and you can get a lot of sound out of this one compared to other systems. Now, if that sounds similar, we've already seen the Commodore Max machine, which was the computer unveiled in Japan, and it has all the same specs, except there's only 2K of memory inside. This one is the real one, the real Commodore 64. And this plays all mediums if you throw at it. You want a cartridge? Yeah, it'll run cartridges. Discs? Yeah, it'll run discs. And cassettes? Oh yeah, lots and lots of cassettes. All right, so let's see what Commodore has to say about the Commodore 64.
This a personal computer and says a person can afford it. Yet
that was IBM? Oh my gosh.
Apple says computing is a revolution that can't be missed. But at $1,530 you could
still really expensive.
Atari says computers are now within reach. Well,
yeah, that's the 800 though, not the 400.
Memory than the others, and it's under $600. So, while everyone else talks about the revolution that's coming, you can experience the revolution that's here.
That's the big sell for the Commodore 64, is the price point. So this is a computer that was sold with toys and toy stores and with other consoles too, which is another reason why it sold so well. Now, how do you tell, or how do you know which was the first game for the Commodore 64? That's a really tricky one. I had to go through forums and look at different releases and companies, and because it was unveiled at the Consumer Electronics Show, we could say the game they played there was the first one, but we're going to go with the first commercial release, because here in August was when they started the market for the Commodore 64. So I'm going to say Jupiter Lander is the very first, or one of the very first games you could play on the Commodore 64. Besides that, if you had a Commodore Max machine and a Commodore 64, just take the cartridge out and it'll work on the Commodore 64. So essentially all the games we've seen already on the Commodore Max machine could be the first games of the Commodore 64. And we will see those as we move on, like Avenger, Mole Attack, Seawolf, and so forth. But there's another one that was by human-engineered software called Retro Ball that may have been the first game for the Commodore 64. But regardless of which game it exactly was, there's so many games. Let's get into Jupiter Lander. Here we go. Yeah, it does kind of look like that with the colors on the screen. Here's the box for Jupiter Lander. Some people have claimed that this was the pack-in that they got when they bought the Commodore 64. And it may not have been right at the beginning of August. It was at some point in August whenever this was packed in, because as the Commodore 64 goes on, there's lots of pack-in titles that'll be included with it. Jupiter Lander, we've already seen this on the Commodore VIC-20. So if that looks familiar, let's up those graphics, maybe even up the sound, and play it on the Commodore 64. And then we also have the cassette tape that you'll pop in and play on your brand new Commodore 64. Here's the manual. How do you play Jupiter Lander? I don't remember if we saw the manual on the VIC-20 or not. Let's see. How do we load this game? The strategy is land your spaceship safely on the solid landing site of Jupiter. So we're not doing a lunar lander, it's Jupiter Lander. Make many exploratory landings as possible before fuel runs out. There's only 3 landing sites with 3 exciting levels of play. You can control the thrust level of play. You can control the thrust level of play. And then the Jupiter Lander can be played with a joystick or keyboard. There's the keyboard commands. We got our joystick plugged in. Oh yeah, softness of the landing site is displayed on the meters per second gauge on the right side of the screen. If you land below the yellow zone, you crash. The softer the landing area, the more points you get. Try to land with the marker high in the yellow zone. And then this is important because the Commodore 64 does this. It's not the only one. We've seen it on the Philips Video Pack and a few other computers too, where they switch the ports out. When you want to play the game, I'm already getting choked up because I'm so excited for the Commodore 64. When you want to play the game, you have to know which port to plug it in, because sometimes it doesn't work in the port 1. You have to start with port 2. It's very confusing. But thanks for letting us know here in the manual with an example of the screenshot. All right, here we go. Let's pop it and play Jupiter Lander by Hitoshi Suzuki, HAL Laboratory, in the beginning of August 1982. Published by, well, Commodore. Oh yeah, the first one you played? So this one is a cracked version, so we get a nice crack demo scene for us when we boot it up, but we'll skip by it. Thanks, guys. And we also get a splash screen. This one has a trainer that you can tweak some stuff and give you more information about it. Look, they include the manual right here. What the strategy is, controls. Nice touch. Yes, and if you had this in the RF position on your television, it's when you switch out the channel 3 and channel 4 to play. I love it. All right, so it tells us the port. Look at that. Nice. It's a digital version of the manual. Why did we even read the manual? We got it right here. All right, and let's go. We can do cheats if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say no. And no. We're going to go real Jupiter Lander here. That's right. Excitement of 1983 is going to end up leading into, oh my gosh, there's so many games. All right, so here we go. Instructions. Moving left and right in fire. Use the keyboard or joystick. We're going to be controlling all this with our Commodore VIC-20 joystick. Man, oh man. How exciting is that? All right, let's go. Oh, yes, it is the same. The little ditty for Moon Cresta? Yeah. There we go. Look on the right side. You can see that meter is really what sets this apart from all the other lunar landers we played. The first big one that nailed it, besides if you wanted to play on mainframe, was the one in the arcades. Yes. Sounds better than the VIC-20. It looks a notch better than the VIC-20. Just a notch. All right, let's go big or go home. We're going all the way over to the times 10 multiplier. That little ditty, yeah. And it goes a long way because here on home computers or home consoles, we don't see a lot of music. Oh, gosh. I gotta focus here. All right, we're going down. Nice and easy. Easy. Man, they did so good. HAL Laboratory nailed it. It was a lot of fun on the VIC-20 too. No, I went in too fast. Oh, I thought I nailed it. They even give you a ditty when you explode. Uh-oh. Out of fuel. And the explosion is a nice effect as well. They are not utilizing all of the features of the Commodore VIC-20. It's the first, one of the first games. You can't blame them. Because notice that the sprite, they have multicolor sprites that are available, and your spaceship is still using one, like the VIC-20. All right, we'll go for the 2 times at the top. Nice and easy. You gotta keep it. There we go. Well, it's right here above my head, so let me switch it out. If you see the meter over on the far side, that one is showing you where it's going to blow the ship up if you land or not. So notice as we're moving fast, I'm here in the green area. You actually want to keep it. You want to keep it away from the walls, but you want to keep it in the yellow area, and that's what makes this version of Lunar Lander so good. You can work on getting that precise movement. Easy. Oh, see, we're not in the yellow. Got it. Yes. Now, when we played this on the VIC-20, it was still really good. I said 3.5 stars when we played the VIC-20 version. I don't know if I can send it up a notch for 4 stars or not. I'll let the chat argue on if it deserves that space, that spot or not. All right, so there you go. The very first, or one of the very first games you could ever play on the Commodore 64. You may have had this bundled in, and from what I know, most people had this game. Like everyone that had a Commodore 64 had Jupiter Lander. Yeah, see, some people were terrible at the game. Sorry about that, Mark. Yeah, and it's HAL Laboratory, believe it or not. So I'm going to start us off at 3.5. I could go up from there, but of all the games you can play on a home computer, it is Lunar Lander. It is very, very well done. It has a ditty, it has music, but it's not something that's really pushing too much higher for all the games you could play. And this essentially is the same, very close to what you could play on the Commodore VIC-20. Yeah, 3.5. We're going 3.5 for Jupiter Lander. But that's not all. Jupiter Lander was also here on the Commodore Max machine. This is Jupiter Lander, another system that we've already seen since near the beginning of 1982. And is it going to compare? I think it's going to be about the same. Here's the box for Jupiter Lander. The Commodore Max machine was Japan only and cartridge only and 2K of memory only. So it sucked. It was just a precursor to what the Commodore 64 was going to be. Let's pop it and play Jupiter Lander. Still by Hitoshi Suzuki, published by Commodore Business Machines in the beginning of August 1982. And HAL Laboratory. Same as before, giving us the instructions of how to play. I think it's going to be essentially the same. I don't know. I think they can do everything that we just saw on the Commodore 64 on the Max machine. Yes, it is. It looks more intense, right? It looks like the face you're going to make when you blow up. That's what the cover of the box is. All right, let's go. Yep, they got the ditty. Yep, still works. All right, let's do the 5. Oh, yep, got to get it in range first. We're coming in hot. That's where that phrase came from. Lunar Lander. Barely. I'm watching that meter right above my shoulder here. When we played this on the VIC-20, I still was impressed at how well it played. Considering the other Lunar Landers, this is one of the best ways you could play it. There was another one we played called Galactic Commander recently on the BBC Micro, and that one was interesting because it had different levels and missions, which was kind of cool. But as far as pure vehicle simulation, like having to slow down, use your retro rockets carefully. There we go, yes! We got it! Oh, maybe because of the front, we give it an extra... Yeah, I usually am basing this on graphics, sound, gameplay, and from those three factors, it's based on everything else you could play on a certain system, or how legally they took care for the rights of games. Oh, that's not good. Coming in hot. Yeah, it's about identical. So I'm still thinking 3.5 stars for Commodore Max Machine. But if you were in Japan, believe it or not, the market in Japan, Commodore never really got a whole foothold there. They didn't sell as many Commodore 64s, maybe because of the bad taste of Commodore Max. They did sell a lot of VIC-20s though, so they got a little bit. But after all the computers that were made in Japan started to come out, from Sharp, NEC, and so forth, all of those dominated the market rather than Commodore. So while the rest of the world enjoyed the Commodore 64, and they even have the death ditty, like you're playing a cartoon. The rest of the world enjoyed the Commodore 64, and that's why it sold so much. It's the Guinness Book of World Records for the best-selling computer model of all time. But I'm bragging about the Commodore 64 still, and we're on the Commodore Max machine. Oh, yes, MSX. Oh, that's going to be so big. Yeah, out of fuel. they begin the level, and they just say, you're out of fuel, and you crash. That's it. Yes, I'm with them on that, doing something with the domestic side. So much fun. So this is just the beginning of everything we're going to see by Commodore. We're still going to continue playing everything on the Commodore VIC-20. We're going to see all the new releases for the Commodore 64. But the Max machine, I think we only have this year and next year for games, and that's it. We're not going to see this computer anymore. It doesn't last. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. It still plays so well. Yes! There we go. Every time you do a successful landing, I think you get all your fuel back. Yep, there we go. And you just keep going, keep going. All right, so just like we saw on the Commodore 64, I'm giving Jupiter Lander 3.5 stars all around. It is an above-average game, a really fun title. But the real story is the Commodore 64. How that game is going to be changing the landscape, because that price point has almost similar to the Sinclair ZX Spectrum in the United Kingdom, which is another market that Commodore didn't take over. The Spectrum was #1 for the longest time, and then the Commodore 64 was always #2 in the United Kingdom. So the Commodore 64 is a computer that's going to be seen all over the world, and it's going to be very, very popular. But as far as it dominating the market, it's because of that price point, making it really, really cheap and easy for everyone to have the computer to play. Yes, that's right. Still holds up. I'm going to still say 3.5 stars for all the games you could play on a home computer. Yes, this is totally new perspective. And the 90s, I don't know what you're talking about. That's the far future from what we have here. All right, so that's where I have to put our video game playing on pause this evening. Tune in next episode for You Can't Play Berserk at Home. That's it for today, and like I always say, load, quote, asterisk, quote, comma 8, comma 1. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if you miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are Perpetually Retro, and we will catch you next time.